Okay, so get this. Imagine having a super smart, like, research assistant
Mm,
available 24/7, ready to just answer any question that you throw at it.
right.
And that's like the whole promise of these AI-powered search engines,
Yeah.
like ChatGPT Search.
It's a pretty fascinating development, especially because this is like so new.
Yeah, it's really new.
And I think people are starting to realize like how much AI can
Yeah.
transform how we find information.
Exactly. And so for this deep dive, you've actually got a blog post from Deborah Pruseth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it compares ChatGPT Search with like the reigning champion Google.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this David and Goliath thing.
Yeah. The tech world is buzzing about this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a great comparison because it highlights just how different these tools are.
Okay.
So we're so used to Google's list of links,
Yeah.
but ChatGPT offers something completely different.
Yeah.
Direct conversational answer.
Yeah. And the blog post mentions how Google is still king for like those super specific things
Yeah.
like stock prices, or if you're trying to find that obscure website that you only vaguely remember.
Mm-hmm.
But then it gets into how ChatGPT can actually synthesize information from different sources.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it's writing a mini report for you.
That's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
So Pruseth gives this example of asking both search engines about quantum entanglement,
Okay.
which is a really complex physics concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ChatGPT Search manages to explain it in a way that
Power.
even someone without a science background could grasp.
That's impressive. So it actually pulled information from multiple places to do that.
That's exactly what it did.
Okay.
Yeah, so it seemed to be able to like weave together bits and pieces from scientific articles,
Wow.
news reports, even videos to present you with like a cohesive explanation.
Wow.
It's almost like having a personal tutor.
So for understanding like a difficult topic, ChatGPT Search might actually be better than just getting a list of links.
It definitely seems that way,
Wow.
at least based on Pruseth's experience.
Okay.
He even points out that ChatGPT Search remembers the context
Okay.
of your previous questions.
Oh, wow.
So you can have this back and forth conversation to
Uh-huh.
delve deeper into the topic.
Hold on. How does it do that? Like, remember what you've asked before?
It uses something called a transformer model,
Okay.
which is a fancy way of saying it can track the relationships between different parts of a conversation.
Interesting.
It's actually pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's building a little model of your understanding in its AI brain.
That's way beyond just typing keywords into a search bar.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
And this difference is apparent even in simple searches.
Okay.
So Pruseth asked both Google and ChatGPT Search
Okay.
about the population of India,
Okay.
and ChatGPT provided the most up-to-date figure. So showing it can access very current information.
So for those times when you need like the very latest data,
Yeah,
ChatGPT Search might have an edge.
it seems that way.
Okay.
But it's important to remember ChatGPT Search is still quite new.
Right.
Google has been around for ages and has a massive infrastructure for gathering real-time data,
Right.
especially for things like stock prices and breaking news.
So for things that are constantly changing, Google might still be
Yes,
the faster and more reliable option.
exactly.
Okay.
But the blog post makes it clear that ChatGPT Search is catching up quickly, and its ability to summarize complex topics in a clear, conversational way
Yeah.
is definitely something to watch out for.
It sounds like we're on the verge of like a real shift in how we search for information.
Yeah.
This is all so new. I bet like most people don't even realize the potential impact this could have.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's why deep dives like this are so important to help people understand these new technologies
Right.
and how they might change the way we learn and interact with the world.
Absolutely. And speaking of interacting, the blog post also delves into the user experience of ChatGPT Search.
Uh-huh.
It seems like people are really enjoying that conversational style.
Yes. Pruseth highlights this example where he asked a series of questions about climate change.
Oh, okay.
And ChatGPT Search was able to answer each question while keeping track of the previous ones, creating this natural flow of conversation.
That sounds way more engaging than just like clicking through a bunch of links.
It is.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to ask follow-up questions and get personalized responses.
Right.
Almost like you're chatting with an expert.
So it's not just about finding the right information. It's about understanding it and being able to explore different angles.
Precisely.
Okay.
And for those who find Google's pages of ads distracting, ChatGPT Search offers a clean, ad-free experience.
Okay.
It's all about clear, concise answers delivered in a conversational way.
Okay, so we've got this super smart AI that can summarize complex topics, can hold a conversation, and doesn't hit you with a bunch of ads.
Yeah.
It almost sounds too good to be true.
It does sound pretty revolutionary, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But like any new technology, it has its limitations.
Okay.
We'll delve into those more in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, I'm already hooked. I can't wait to hear more about like the pros and cons of each search engine, and ultimately when you might choose one over the other.
We'll definitely get into all of that.
Perfect.
But for now,
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that ChatGPT Search is a serious contender in the world of search.
Yeah.
It's not just a novelty.
Right.
It's a powerful tool that has the potential to change the way we access information.
Okay, before we move on, I have to ask, for our listeners who are like totally new to this whole AI thing, does the blog post assume you have a tech background?
No, not at all.
I understand it.
Prusith does a great job of explaining things in plain English.
Okay.
Even when he's talking about complex concepts, he even uses analogies and real-world examples to make it easy to follow along.
That's great to hear, because I know sometimes these tech discussions can get pretty jargon heavy.
I agree. But in this case, even if you're just starting to learn about AI, you'll be able to grasp the key takeaways.
Perfect.
From the blog post.
So for our listeners who are curious to learn more about this whole AI search showdown, be sure to check out Deborah Prusith's blog post.
Absolutely.
We'll provide a link in the show notes.
And we'll be back after a short break to continue our deep dive into the world of AI search.
Sounds good.
So welcome back.
So we were talking about like how ChatGPT Search is shaking things up.
Right.
By offering like this totally different approach to finding information.
Exactly, but like any tool, both ChatGPT Search and Google have their strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
It really depends on what you're looking for.
So like if I'm trying to decide which tool to use, what are like the key things I should keep in mind?
Well, if you need like up-to-the-minute information, like the latest stock prices or breaking news, Google is still the king.
That makes sense. They've been at it for so long.
Right.
They've got like such a huge advantage when it comes to real-time data.
Right. But where ChatGPT Search really shines is in its ability to synthesize information from multiple sources.
Okay.
And present it in a clear, concise way.
Okay.
It's particularly helpful for understanding complex topics.
So you mentioned that like quantum entanglement example earlier.
Yeah.
Are there any other examples in the blog post where ChatGPT Search like really excelled at explaining something complicated?
There's a great example where Prusith asked both search engines about the U.S. election.
Okay.
And ChatGPT Search was able to pull together information from different news sources and give a quick, balanced overview of what was happening.
So it's like having a personalized news summary.
Exactly.
That cuts through all the noise.
Exactly. And because it can retain context from previous questions, you can even ask follow-up questions to dig deeper into specific aspects of the election.
It's a much more interactive and engaging way to learn about current events.
That's really cool. So for like news and research, it sounds like ChatGPT Search has a lot to offer. Yeah. But what about like more practical things, like finding a good restaurant or getting directions?
For location-specific queries, like that Google is still your best bet.
Okay.
Yeah, their maps and local search features are incredibly powerful.
I can see that Google has been collecting location data for years, so they have a huge advantage there.
Right, and for those everyday searches like checking the weather or finding a recipe, Google's speed and vast database of information are hard to beat.
So it's not about one tool being better than the other.
Right.
It's about understanding their strengths and choosing the right tool for the job.
Precisely. Think of it like this.
Okay.
You wouldn't use a hammer to tighten a screw, would you?
Definitely not. The right tool can make all the difference.
Exactly. And in the world of search, having both Google and ChatGPT Search at your disposal
gives you a wider range of options for finding the information you need.
It's like having a toolbox full of different search tools, each designed for a specific purpose.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And as these AI search engines continue to evolve, we're going to see even more specialized tools emerge.
Right.
Each tailored to different types of information and search needs.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities, but it can also be a little overwhelming.
Sure.
So for our listeners who are just starting to explore these new AI tools,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them?
My advice would be to simply start experimenting.
Okay.
Try both ChatGPT Search and Google Search for yourself.
Okay.
See which one feels more intuitive,
Yeah.
which one provides the kind of information you're looking for,
Yeah.
and which one you enjoy using more.
That's great advice. It's all about finding what works best for you.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions and explore different features. The beauty of these AI tools is that they're designed to make searching for information easier.
Yeah.
And more engaging.
And remember, if you want to dig deeper into the specific examples and comparisons we've been discussing, be sure to check out Deborah Pruseth's blog post.
Absolutely.
We'll provide a link in the show notes.
It's a fantastic resource for anyone who wants to learn more about this fascinating topic.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the strengths and weaknesses of both ChatGPT Search and Google Search.
Yeah.
We've given our listeners some tips for getting started with these new AI tools.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
There's so much more to explore and discuss.
Right.
But I think it's safe to say that this is a truly exciting time for the world of search.
It really is. AI is changing everything, and these new search engines are just one example of how technology is transforming the way we access and interact with information.
And with that, I think it's time to wrap things up.
Okay.
We've given our listeners a lot to think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to embrace these new technologies.
I agree. The world of information is vast and ever-expanding.
Yeah.
And AI search engines are here to help us navigate that world in a more efficient and engaging way.
Okay. So we've talked about how Google and this ChatGPT search have their own strengths.
Right.
But for someone who's hearing this for the first time, they might still be like, well, when would I actually use each one?
That's a great point. Let's bring it down to earth with some examples.
Okay.
So you're rushing to a meeting. You need the very latest on a competitor's stock price.
Right.
That's where Google's speed with real-time data can't be beat.
Okay, so Google, for those urgent, need it now situations.
Exactly.
What about ChatGPT Search? When would that be my go-to?
Imagine you're trying to get up to speed on a complex topic, maybe for work or just personal interests. Say, the future of cryptocurrency.
Okay.
ChatGPT Search can pull insights from tons of sources. Right.
And summarize it in a way that's easy to digest.
Got it.
Even if you're new to the subject.
So it's like getting a crash course without having to wade through a bunch of technical articles.
Exactly. It's about quickly grasping the key ideas and getting a solid overview.
Yeah.
Plus, you can ask follow-up questions, have a back and forth with it to really explore those ideas.
That conversational aspect is what really sets it apart, right?
Yeah.
It feels so much more interactive than a traditional search engine.
Yeah. And for some people, that's a game changer.
Right.
Makes the search process feel less like a chore.
Yeah.
More like a learning experience.
Okay, so for complex topics, ChatGPT Search sounds like a winner.
Yeah.
But Google's been around forever.
Right.
I bet there are still tons of times when it's just the best,
absolutely.
tried and true option.
Think about all those little things we search for every day, like movie times.
Directions, finding that specific recipe on a website you half remember.
Right, yeah.
Google's vast database and super organized indexing are still unmatched for those types of searches.
So it's about knowing the strengths of each tool.
Yeah.
And using them strategically.
Exactly.
Almost like having different lenses to view the world of information through.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And the more you use these tools, the more you'll develop an intuition for which one is best suited for a particular task.
So there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Yeah.
It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
Exactly. And just like any skill, the more you practice, the better you'll become at navigating this world of AI search.
This has been incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a much better grasp of what AI search can do and how to use these tools effectively.
That's great.
And remember, we've just scratched the surface here.
Right.
Deborah Pruseth's blog post, the one that this whole deep dive is based on, goes into much more detail.
Absolutely.
With specific examples.
Yeah.
And even user feedback.
Right.
So
I highly recommend checking it out.
Yeah, if you want to learn more about this AI search battle.
Yeah, for anyone who's curious about the future of search, it's a must-read. It really highlights how quickly this technology is evolving.
Okay, folks, that's a wrap for our deep dive into the world of AI search. We hope you found this insightful and maybe even a little bit mind-blowing.
It was a pleasure exploring these fascinating topics with you.
Until next time, keep those questions coming. And don't be afraid to dive deep into the ever-evolving world of information.